Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. The topic of this on-demand presentation is the first step, the laboratory self-assessment. Use the standards as your guide. My name is Beverly Gorman, and I am the Director of Accreditation for the Echocardiography Division of the IAC. Some of the best advice I can give you is to read the standards. Read them before you start the accreditation process and then use them as your guide throughout the process and always. It's going to be necessary to become very familiar with the standards. They are your guidebook for your laboratory, not just at the time of accreditation, but every day. Remember, accreditation is not a every 3-year event, but how your laboratory should be run on a daily basis. It's important to always use the most current revision of the standards, which are posted on the website. The standards are reviewed and usually revised every couple of years by our board of directors. So if you are in the process of applying for reaccreditation, chances are they've changed from the previous application. The accreditation program is composed of 2 critical steps. The first being an internal self-assessment by the laboratory staff. This is the most crucial and often overlooked step in achieving accreditation. Laboratories must examine all aspects of the laboratory operations for compliance to the standards, and this should be done before you ever start the application, even if you're applying for reaccreditation. Remember, your application is going to be reviewed very carefully by our reviewers to assure that your lab is in compliance with the standards. So before you submit, do the internal self-assessment. Make sure that everything you're submitting is in compliance with the standards. Trust me, this will make things go much, much smoother in the long run. We've created an accreditation checklist, and this is basically to help you guide you through the process, help you organize your information, and it can be downloaded from the website on the sample documents page. I think you're going to find that this is a very helpful tool as you both go through the self-assessment and you organize your things, getting them ready to put into the application. Now let's go over a few questions you should ask yourself as you compare your policies, protocols, reports, and cases to the standards. Does your laboratory have a written policy regarding quality improvement for all procedures performed in your laboratory? Many times we'll see that labs will have a beautiful quality improvement protocol or procedure, but it's just for transthoracic. They've left out stress echo. Or, on the other hand, it's just for stress echo, and they've totally left out adult transthoracic and maybe even TEE. And for peds, a lot of times they'll leave out fetal or another testing area. So it's very important, and it is required that your policy include all the testing areas that you are performing in your laboratory. So again, if you perform TEE, stress, fetal, whatever exams are performed in your laboratory, they must be included in your QI policy. Now, during this presentation, I'm not going to go over the QI standards in detail. That's going to be a topic for another presentation. But your QI policy must include the appropriate use criteria if you're in an adult lab. Okay, for pediatric laboratories, there isn't appropriate use criteria yet. I believe they are working on it. Your required QA measures, which are variability for both stenographer and physician, report timeliness, report completeness, and correlation, your quality improvement conferences, and, of course, record keeping. You have to document it because if you don't document it, it didn't happen. And the record keeping has to include an annual summary. Now, there are many, many sample documents available for you to use on our website. Use them as they are, or at least get an idea of, what needs to be included and create your own. But they're there to help you, so please feel free to use them. Does your equipment include all required hardware and software? This is pretty straightforward. Just look at the standards. It's a list of what's required to be on your equipment, and just make sure your machines have all that on them. Is sufficient time allotted for each exam? It's required that 45 to 60 minutes be scheduled for each patient, and that is actually time with the sonographer from the time the patient is encountered in your laboratory. In other words, when they walk into the lab door and you say, "Hi, my name is Beverly, I'm going to do your echocardiogram." Okay, so each patient has to have at least 45 minutes scheduled. Review your protocol. Does it include all standard views, measurements, and Doppler evaluations? Many times standard views are left out of protocols. Probably the most frequently omitted one is the right ventricular inflow view from the parasternal long axis. Doppler evaluations that are most commonly omitted are the evaluation of aortic stenosis from multiple views using that dedicated CW probe. Just to backtrack a little bit, another Doppler evaluation that's usually overlooked is interrogating that interatrial or interventricular septum with color Doppler. So that is required for both adults and peds. Do all sonographers follow the sequence of the protocol? We certainly understand that sometimes due to the patient or the situation that you can't get every view, but on a day-to-day basis, you should be following the sequence of the protocol. Now, if there's pathology that maybe you want to take extra views or, capture extra images, certainly. But on a day-to-day, routine basis, the sonographers must follow the sequence of the protocol. Do your studies include all standard views, measurements, and Doppler evaluations? Again, just make sure your studies are complete and include all the views, measurements, and Doppler evaluations. There's also a checklist, which is posted on the sample document page to help you evaluate your cases and also your reports. So make use of it. It makes things much easier. Are the final reports standardized? All the physicians in your laboratory must agree on a final report format and use it. One can't be using the dictation system and the others using a bright, shiny new workstation. They have to agree on a format and everybody use it. That also includes make sure that your reports have a complete header and all the required measurements. And all the Doppler evaluations are included on the reports. Okay, the most commonly omitted are the peak or mean gradients. Many times we'll see aortic stenosis for aortic stenosis cases, and they have the valve area and they may have the peak gradient, but the mean gradient is missing. So please make sure that you double check your reports. So especially for those AS cases, to make sure they include the peak and mean gradients as well as the valve area, and of course if there's regurgitation. Does the report text include all required comments? Again, it's a whole list, so just make sure that your reports include all of those. Again, there is a checklist that's posted on the sample documents page. Please feel free to use it. It's going to make things much, much easier for you. Is there a summary of pertinent findings? I think that's pretty straightforward. And is the report signed by the interpreting physician? The report does have to be reviewed and either electronically or manually signed by the physician, not rubber stamped by the transcriptionist, not signed off by the sonographer, but actually the interpreting physician must review that final report to make sure it's complete and what he intended to put into it and that it's signed. Now, the second step of the process is that confidential peer review by our reviewers. So please show them your best work, okay? And then accreditation is granted when the facility is found to be providing quality patient care in compliance with the standards. and then everybody's happy. There are many, many sample documents posted on the website. Again, please feel free to use them. There's no need to recreate the wheel. We've created these samples for you to use. Use them by entering your own data or modify them to better fit the needs of your lab, but really save yourself some time and energy. This process is for the entire lab to go through, not just one person. So work as a team. Work together to reach your goal. Like little Mike and Maria here, you know, they wanted the ice cream in the freezer, and they figured out real quickly that it's better if they work together to get what they want. So, again, work as a team. It's going to make things much smoother and get done a lot more quickly. So work as a team. Help is just a phone call or an email away. We are here to help you through the process. We're happy to answer any questions you may have. We'll make suggestions. If you have a unique situation, please pick up the phone, send us an email. We're happy to help. For general application questions, you can feel free to email or contact Sade Cannon, our seniors application specialist, Amy or Alex, our application processors. They're all extremely knowledgeable for general application questions. You know, if you're having trouble uploading your documents, or you're not sure if you know, one of the physicians was represented, or the staff has contacted you and asked you for additional information, things like that. Please just, again, pick up the phone or email. They're happy to help. For technical questions, there are two other sonographers in addition to myself on staff. Together, we probably have over 60 years of clinical experience, and we are definitely happy to help you with any kind of technical clinical question that you have. We can make suggestions if you have a situation you're not sure what to do. So please, again, I can't encourage you enough. Don't struggle. Don't get frustrated. Pick up the phone. Send us an email. We are happy to help. I hope you found this presentation helpful, and thank you very much for your attention and your interest in the accreditation process.